Jim and Terry Show, back with music as a focus, because after all, the Jim and the Terry are musicians.
Yes, we do music. That's what we do. We write and create.
Do you find music soothes the savage beast?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess in some cases it does.
I'm leading you to the tumultuous times of this past week, politically, socially, culturally.
These times are really, really tough to sit through and watch. And the twists and the turns that nobody seems to have control over.
I think we all were blown away by the series on, I'm going to say Netflix, but it might be something else, House of Cards.
Yes, I was blown away with that.
And I thought, no, this stuff really does, this is too far. Reality is worse.
I think I told you when George Clooney came forward and said Biden should step down. And then everybody was talking about how much of a big donor he is to the Democratic Party. And went, no, we're not in control at all. It's all the people that are supplying the money and have their influence. George Clooney, a lot of the other Hollywood stars have influence. They're not just stars. They fundraise for, they give out of their own pocket, and they have a say. And it gets to the point where, just like any other human being, George Clooney thinks he's right, or he wouldn't have come forward and said that. And now, the guy I like, Adam Schiff, he's come forward and said he should step down.
Yes.
And I think, as of this morning, I think also Nancy Pelosi.
Now, is this just because of the recent diagnosis? We're going to get off this because we're going into music.
You're
just couching this as the tumultuous times.
The times
for the voice of a prophet, priest, or poet to come forward and make clear the muddy ways that are out and about.
Well, it's funny, in prophets, priests, and poets, I very much did have in mind what I was seeing in the world, whether it became from religious leaders to political leaders to just the complete atmosphere, not to mention the atmosphere itself, how everything's coming about. And there's a lot out there to be aware of, and somehow miraculously, again, there's a twist of fate. That's my song.
You're listening to the opening bars of Jim's song. We'll stop talking.
Salt water in the warm ocean breeze. The beauty of the sunset brought me spiritually to my knees. The shops on the boardwalk turning on their beacon lights. The music of seduction ushers in the nightlife. Prophets, priests, and poets are at the bar ordering drinks. As the sunset souls sing, they're toasting a lady at the end of the pier, speaking over the water in a whisper. Who's this lady so radiant, so pristine? What does she say, and what does this all mean? As I approached her like an oracle in a dream, she looked at me and screamed, eyes that will not see, ears that refuse to hear what the prophets, priests, and poets fear. Times prophecy. Looking to the west coast, transfixed in a solemn stare. The sevenfold spirit of the Lord God was there.
That's just a snippet of an over 10-minute long epic, Bob Dylan-ish.
Yeah, it was inspired. Number one, it was inspired by God about the whole warnings of our times. But the style was very, very much influenced by Bob Dylan's Rough and Rowdy Ways album. He has a song on there called Florida Keys, Key West Pirate Radio. And I love that song. I played it to absolute death. It's 10 minutes long pretty well.
Back in the day when you would have either worn out the tape in the heads,
Yeah.
or you would have worn a groove in the vinyl.
Yeah. I played it. It was just off my phone, and I got the CD. So I put the CD on, and I'd play it coming back from my girlfriend's house, and that would take 10 minutes of my time. But I don't know, there was such a feel about that song that I liked. And I'm not saying anybody else. Maybe we should just pull it up later. So after the show,
We can have
you
another
could just
discussion about how the comparisons of... Yeah, well, let me say that as a musician, so this is friend to friend and musician to musician, that one gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I was surprised you said that, and thanks. I wish everybody got goosebumps when they heard it, if they hear
Maybe
it,
they
if they
will.
ever hear it.
Well, that's part of why we do the Jim and Terry show. If we can't pat ourselves on the back, what good are we?
Well, yeah, I like the song, and so that's why I set out right from the day one that it was going to be a longer song. Maybe not 10 minutes, but I said, no, I'm going to say everything I think I need to say, and that took 10 minutes.
The chorus is memorable, so this is your chance to preach it.
Yeah.
Not that you're ever shy from preaching, but that's definitely preaching.
Yeah, the eyes that will not see, the ears that refuse to hear, what the prophets, priests, and poets fear, the end time prophecy. That's...
A little clarion call, a little warning about the book of Revelation impending.
Well, there's a lot there to be warned about in mankind as we go through our lives. From a Christian prophetic point of view, I guess, it is a song of warnings. But I think it also could be pleasantly listened to. You know what I mean? But it is a song of warnings.
It is. If you stick to the music, and I like the chord where you hammer on and off, and I don't know what chord it is. It sounds like a D with a nice pinky finger hammer on.
Well, remember,
and off.
I use capo 3 and everything.
Yeah, so I don't know where that is in your chording of that, but that's the kind of detail that always catches my ear. So you got a good tone in your guitar, and that comes through. The mix is really good.
Thank you, and that's from a producer, because I love your producing. As
Well, you know I've offered to produce this one too.
Well, I got another one I might let you at. I just have to haul you in again, because the latest songs I want to do, I think I told you before, I want to be able to do them live, so you can't have an orchestra. But on the other hand, the song I just finished writing, and I really like it, it screams out orchestra.
Oh, okay.
That's what it screams out, and the girl backup singers, it just screams out for all of that. So I don't know what to do with that. I just finished writing it. I like it. I like what I wrote. And I can't even think of the name right now.
But that's okay. Here. That's okay. You and I often have these flights of fancy where the stuff comes in one ear and goes out the other, and we don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a Biden right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's why I can understand the poor guy. How many times we go through that? But we're not. This is all about music, not politics.
Yeah, it's sort of saying musicians have a way of piercing the veil, or letting the cloud and the muck settle. A way in music of reaching an audience to give either assurance that it's going to be okay, or an understanding that perhaps the audience, whoever that may be, whatever demographic you're writing for, is not able to see for themselves. And musicians can bend the ear.
Yeah, they can. And your influences are all over the place too, aren't they? But you're more.
I would say not Dylan.
Yeah, but I think you're. Well, what is yours? Because you do such a great job in jazz singing. I like the way you do jazz.
Oh, thank you. We were talking about whiskey earlier.
Yeah, well, whiskey and jazz.
Whiskey and jazz.
Over the Bowie. Well, I always saying Bowie. You always sound a little bit like Bowie to me, but not when you're doing jazz. So I like that. But you come up with all kinds of sounds and inputs. From. Where does that come from? You just sit there and go, I hear natives dancing around a fire.
But you hear these things too. The question
so where does
is,
it all come from?
Well, it's from us, you and I. We said this last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, that we are the sum total, and AI can't replicate you and I. Thank goodness. There's a market for you and I.
But do you realize there's people that don't do that? There's people that sit there And I don't know if they just stare and will watch air bounce if there's nothing going on. Music is constantly in my coming and going. If I pull out of your driveway fast, I'd probably start going, I'd probably start doing that in my head, Okay, that would make a good
This is
song.
the rocker, Jim.
Yeah. Or, melodic, on a beach or something like. And I have imageries like when I'm thinking, if I hear a Tragically Hip song or something, there's a Tragically Hip song that I can't even tell you the name of it, and it might be just a Gord Downie song, but it would make a great opening for a movie. Just the sound of somebody coming into consciousness, just coming back into consciousness. And so every time I hear that song, that vision comes to my mind.
Okay, hold that thought. Here's the title, Coming into Consciousness. Good song.
Ooh,
I think you got to run with that one.
Yeah.
Coming into consciousness.
Well, maybe you
Whoa,
should.
I like that.
I'll race you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play a clip maybe next time. Well, maybe I'll do it right now and pull it in. I Had a Vision by Wigmore Allen Gibbons.
Oh, do it. Pull it in.
When I was a boy, this was my kingdom. I drew it like a child, but never stuck to my aim. And so I missed it by half a mile. Wide-winged bird circling, or could it be 2 or 3? I could save it all the bother, and then it wouldn't bother me. See?
Prophets, priests, and poets.
And I had a vision.
The Jim and Terry Show, talking about things music and trying to make clear tumultuous times through our
Yes.
music and lyrics.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more of the Jim and Terry Show, signing off. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.